season 2 premiere of Legion. On the season 2 premiere of Legion, David wakes up from his time hanging out in that crazy metal sphere thing he got sucked into at the end of last season, and nothing is as we remember it. For him, it feels like he was gone for a day. But for those around him, they say he was gone for almost a year. His homies all now work for Division 3, a group that is tasked with handling a crazy new plague of some sort that causes people to stand very still and chatter their teeth constantly. David is told by his new boss, Admiral Fukuyama, a cool dude with a basket on his head and 3 mustachioed lady cyborgs, that he must find the body of the Shadow King before the Shadow King finds it himself. But then David is visited in his sleep by future Sid, who tells him, communicating Pictionary style, that maybe he should actually help the Shadow King find his new body. So friends, I ask you this. Does not having any clue what is really happening at all ruin your enjoyment of this show?
Not at all.
I think sometimes it is. Like, sometimes I'll get this, like, cloud above my head that says, like, wait, is this, like, actually good, or is it, like, purposefully being, like, obtuse and therefore thinks it's good? But that thought goes away almost immediately. Like, if you're not watching the show, how can you listen to that thing that you just said, Greg, off the top of your dome, and then not start watching this fucking show?
If there is a character that wears a basket on his head, and it's not like nobody comments on it. They look at it and they're like, dude, that guy has a basket on his head.
Especially because John Legion is back, like, he's been gone for a year, and so he has the same questions we do. Like, he straight up says, what's up with those mustache girls?
And he also goes, why are all the guards children?
Yeah.
And they're like, it doesn't affect children. We don't know why.
They don't seem to get this weird plague.
And a thing that they never explain, and I assume it will be explained later on, maybe it won't, is why there is around their building that they have David in when they unveil him are a bunch of, I think, balloons that are big green pointer fingers that are just floating around.
They look like really big Hulk hands.
Yeah, and I don't know what that's about or if that's a real thing, but that's happening. It's going on in the world of Legion, and I love it. I'm on for the ride.
There's so much going on, I completely missed that. Like,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Oh, yeah,
that
me neither.
Yeah.
But it's because of the 70,000 other things I was trying to, like, intake into my brain.
Yeah.
It's full of a trillion little details. I'm the kind of person who, when I watch something, I'm constantly trying to figure, like, quote, what's going on, unquote.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and with this show, it's almost like therapy for me because you just can't do that. Don't worry about what's going on. Just experience everything as it comes at you. And that's the way the first season was. But season 2, it feels like getting chucked into the middle of something, and there is just no way to make rhyme or reason of anything.
And we got fat over the summer. Like, we have to get back into Legion watching shape, you know? Like,
lean,
this is the first
mean
one.
Legion watching machines.
Exactly, yeah.
I actually saw a comment from Noah Hawley where he was like, season 1 is we're in the normal world and we're seeing it through David's fucked up vision. This season is David is pretty much normal, and now, like, we are chucked in with him in a real weird, fucked up world, and this first episode delivered on that.
And that helps so much. It helps that, like, we don't know what's going on, and we have so many questions, but so does everyone else. And once a question is answered for either a character or us, there's no reason to believe that's true.
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's awesome how they just keep you tilted the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, I feel much more grounded the first episode of this season than I did the first season. Like, it's not any less weird. Like, there's still weird, strange, like, dance like numbers that happen in the middle
God
of nowhere.
bless.
Let's talk about the dance number. I think it's important. When you're dealing with a show like Legion, you have to talk about the dance numbers. The dance number from the first season, fire. Bollywood inspired. You don't expect it. It's a great moment. What'd you guys think of the dance number from Legion?
I didn't think they could top that one from the first season. This one killed it. It was insane. Like, at first they were like, you kind of get like this, they did a good job with the music to like make it seem like you get that it's kind of on a psychic level too. And then like at first when it's just, what is it, David and Oliver, I was like, where is my girl? Where is Aubrey? Because she's going to take it to the next level. And then it turned to her and she killed it.
She did. She took it
she can
3
dance.
levels up.
And
She
she didn't.
could dance.
She was not supposed to be on the set that day. Like, that was
Really?
just her out of script, just hanging out. That's just what she does when she's hanging out.
She sees dancing, she engages.
I did like that their dances like made me think is like this is what these people would do as dances. It was like David is just doing like a I've got like 4 people. We're doing a choreographed little square thing. And
kind of
then
like anime movements, like almost.
Jermaine Clement is doing like a weird like half fighty dance thing.
He's the one. Aubrey Plaza can dance. David can can dance pretty well. Jermaine is the one that you can hear him counting in his head and like telling himself what steps he has to do.
And
next.
it makes it even better because he has such a serious look on his face, and you can
whole
tell
time.
that he's like, I've practiced this for 6 months.
Those shoulder movements when he's hopping.
And I'm still not totally comfortable doing it.
Yeah, and then Aubrey Plaza shows up and she does like a Christina Aguilera from like the sexy period, like full dance number. It was great.
Did you guys see Christina Aguilera without makeup on the magazine cover?
Yeah, she's so pretty.
Looked like a different person.
She looks so much younger.
Oh
Without
yeah.
makeup.
She is like she's super old.
I used to read, I think as a lot of young guys, I used to read Jane magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and Jane magazine would do something called like a make under, and they would make all these women look so much more naturally pretty than like the makeup gun they spray themselves in the face with. And Christina Aguilera is a perfect example of that. She's like normal looking person. Just go with that.
The thing that I love about these two particular dances, the one from the first episode of the first season and this one, is that they are very like Hollywood or movie based, I guess. But the first one we got, that's just the end of every movie in India, no matter what your movie's about. And then this one, I don't know why this is the end of so many movies, but like I just saw a trailer for Night School about a guy going to night school, and in the preview there's still a fucking dance competition because that has to be in every movie. And that was more this style of like, this was American dance scenes in movies, is like this. We're in the club and it's time to like show down.
Yeah.
Everyone knows the choreography out of nowhere.
This reminded me of if like the first Matrix movie had for some reason really needed a dance scene in the middle, and like Keanu had to fight the clones with like dance. This is what that would look like.
Like if Matrix and Step Up combined.
Yes.
It was
If Channing Tatum and Keanu Reeves fused into one person.
Get the scientists working on the Matrix step up technology.
Yeah, let's should we just start talking about that movie right now, that franchise that we're gonna start?
Aubrey Plaza also had a dance number in the first season where she's like being really bad and dancing through
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
David's like, yeah, Aubrey Plaza, you guys.
Because it's so clear that they've seen so many types of movies and TV shows, but it's never just to. There's so much stuff that does homages that is just, it's clearly there to prove that the writers and the directors have seen those before. But these are all so like, it's one of the most exciting parts of the show is to see what they're gonna do next. And then like we're talking about the big numbers. There's still in every single scene, there's something fucked up and weird, whether it's disgusting or it's just a fucking train of boats with waffles on it, dude.
That train of
Why?
boats was incredible. Like, why would you? It starts with, why do they have a train of boats that goes throughout this thing?
Okay, this is their cafeteria.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is like the cafeteria of like this government agency, and they have one of these like sushi style boat trains where
But
you just like
that's
take
still
whatever
too
you
normal.
want. Yeah.
We got to put them on boats, put them in water, and then have that go through the entire room.
Yeah,
because we're
even-
fucking Legion, dude.
Even though there's only 2 people eating in there. So
Yeah,
you can just
yeah.
walk over and hand them the waffles.
It'd be
And
awesome to like leave the cafeteria and look at the other side of the wall, and there's just a ton of boats that just fell out and onto the ground. Yeah.
Because they've made so much food.
There's
for
a ton
an
of food
empty
going
room.
around. And it's like a weird mix too. Like they knew he wanted waffles, so like what else? Dude, they're just making everything. Like I know some.
That was my favorite part of that scene. Is he's like, "Do you have waffles?" And they're just sitting there, and finally he's like, "Finally!" And he grabs it, and he's so angry that he's had to wait this
Why
long
did this
for
take
waffles.
so long?
But I don't know if this is the same thing, but the waffle part, and how there's just magically waffles out of all the other foods that are boat ridden, the waffles just come up. That's actually one of 3 times that happens because Jermaine Clement is just in a pool and finishes his martini, and then someone/no one just hands him a martini.
yeah.
And
I have theories.
the other guy too, the guy who I hated first season but did a great job in this episode, was sitting there in
Bernie
a
face.
yeah, Bernie face. Just had a bowl of ice cream get dropped off right when he needed it to, like right when the script called for it.
And both of those are delivered by an arm that's clearly wearing a suit. I think like as much as I'm saying like I just experienced this and I don't try to figure out what's going on. I was
can't
trying to
help it.
figure out
Yeah.
what's going on, and I think that's the Shadow King. I think that what's going on is that like David and the Shadow King are kind of making this shared reality, and it's like almost on an instinctual level for David, so he doesn't realize he's doing it, but he's kind of created this whole Matrixy universe.
Yeah. Because they did a lot of, at the very beginning of the episode, the like zoom out and you're in one person's mind and zoom out and you're in another person's. And then everything is like really weird here. So I think it makes the most, if this
anything can.
if this isn't like inside of some sort of like Shadow King manufactured world to get David out of something, then what the fuck is happening in this world?
Aubrey Plaza says, I guess Lenny. I don't know who she actually is at this point.
Lenny Benny Denny's.
When they're talking at the very beginning, she laughs and says, "We're trapped." So it's like she's trapped, and I think they're all trapped. And I think like both David and the Shadow King are both prisoner and prison to each other.
Yeah, because they have that like dialogue, which I think is voiced by John Hamm at the
It
beginning.
is John
Was that
Hamm.
John Hamm?
I think
It
that was
is.
John Hamm.
Hey guys, there's something real important to remember about this because do you know who narrated the first part of season 1?
No.
Jermaine Clement.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So
and then
we
he
could
was
be
in
getting
it.
some ham time pretty soon.
Oh man, if they could just show a still picture of his face for a little bit.
Just-
I
that's all.
taped one to your TV. What did you do with it?
I know, because then I have to look around it to see what's going on the
Just
TV.
look right at him.
Instead of the blackout scene, it's just a picture of John Hamm
Yeah.
up there. Like,
Maybe that one where he's like cruising down the street and you can like see everything.
Oh yeah,
That's the one I would
you
use.
can see John's ham.
You can see
John's-
little ham.
But yeah, John Hamm giving the speech
A ham
about
bone.
how
I should have said ham bone.
Yep.
Okay, roll it back, Ryan.
Yeah. The ham bone. So that
Taylor, that's
Good one,
hilarious.
Thanks.
How'd you do that?
So they have that John Hamm thing saying where you are trapped in this maze because it's in your mind
Yeah.
and the whole thing. I feel like that's what they're doing to us and also the characters inside the show. And I'm excited to see the adventure that they take us on.
Yeah, going back to your original question, that cloud I think that's actually just before I start watching because I remember all like the sort of effort that you have to do and like how hard it is and how it's just not like putting on an episode of The Flash. But once the first thing in any episode I see, that's when it goes away. It's not when I'm watching, it's just before,
Yeah, you're like, okay, I want to know what's going to happen, but then it starts happening, and you're like, whatever.
This is great.
And I think I feel more positive about this season knowing that like we started the first season and we're like, this is wild and crazy and we don't understand what's going on, but like, is it good?
Right.
Now we know
No.
there's payoff at the end of this.
yeah,
So like, I feel a little bit more comfortable. Like I'm still lost, but like I feel like I know that where this is going.
And you know you're supposed to be lost.
yeah.
Like, I don't think the show implies a viewer that totally understands everything that's going on, right? So you're supposed to just be kind of like, what do you got, show? And then just sort of experience everything as it happens.
We're having like a weird dog face thing moving itself along on a wheelchair.
that thing was made of nightmares. So that was the worst part of anything. But those Freddie Mercury, like gender neutral, like ladies with the like auto-tune voices, I love them so much, and that was the best thing they could have put in there.
They all sound like GLaDOS from Portal.
And then I do want to give props to there's a speech in the middle of the episode, and that's so terrible with most stuff. It's just about choice and delusion, right? And even though it's like there's nothing subtle about the words, it really is just like here's a philosophy. The visuals that go with it were just so weird and spectacular, and that's what this show will do. Like there's always going to be a payoff, and there's always a deeper reason than like what we're capable of realizing in the moment. You know, we love coming here and breaking these shows down and saying like, well, it's about the writing staff isn't us because we would have done so much better with Legion. Like it was like that, the chicken and the egg, and then the other thing, like just disgusting and fascinating.
Yeah, dude, that was messed up. And it was kind of like that thing that drags itself along in the
Yeah.
wheelchair. It's like a little version of that. I mean, not exactly the same, but how about those chattering teeth? Did that fuck you guys up?
Yes, of course,
Man, that fucked me up.
And if you
No,
had
I'm
said
totally
that to me,
fine with that. I don't mind at all.
It was so loud, and you could hear it in a scene before you saw anybody doing it, and you're like, I don't know, I don't want to know what's making that sound, and then you find out, and you're just like, no, I'm not okay with
if
this.
you had said that's freaky, if before I watched the episode, I'd say shut up, wimp,
Yeah.
like that's stupid. And then
Shut
watching
up,
it,
Greg.
it's frightening.
And then the sound of like a room full of people doing it, and
that was the worst. They had to make a whole room full of it. Like one wasn't enough. Put them all in one room.
God, that's so terrible. Do you guys feel like this is as good as season 1? Better than season 1, just continuing the tradition?
I back up what Taylor said, even though I'm sort of bummed that we know better how to watch the show. 'Cause there's a lot to say about having not knowing how to watch a show, but now that we do, we like that worry that you were saying, Taylor, of like, is this good? Is this good? Am I going to sound lame? Like if I say this is good, that's all gone, and now like we just kick back and watch. And by kick back, I don't mean that at all. Like sit there and like with a pencil and paper and watch.
I had meant to actually re-watch it, which is not something I would ever consider doing with any other show that
Based
we
on a
watch
comic book, yeah.
for this stupid show. Yeah, I would never do that, but and I didn't have time to, but I would have, you guys. I seriously
That counts.
would've. Yeah,
That
if
counts like
It's the
75%.
intention.
Yeah.
if you meant to do. All right. Well, I'm assuming this is going to be very high up on everyone's list.